Welcome all to episode 166 of the Self-Publishing Roundtable. I am your host, Erica Conroy, and my co-panelist tonight is Krishawn Callahana. Hello, Krishawn.
Hello, how you guys doing?
And tonight we have three special guests on this special episode, which we have helpfully given a clickbaity title of You Have Been Scammed. So tonight we have author Isadora Montrose, J.K. Harper, and Violet Vaughn. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so we have a lot of people on today. Sometimes this happens, but mostly it doesn't. So bear with us as we probably all talk over each other, but we'll try not to do that. So I will set the scene first, and we will launch into it. So imagine, if you will, Jane Doe, the lovely romance author, toddles along and is sucked into a lovely multi-author book scam. Now, you might think this would never ever happen to me, but I can tell you it will, possibly. I mean, it happened to me, it happened to Isadora, and it unfortunately also happened to JK. I don't know, Violet, has it happened to you, or you've been lucky so far?
I've been lucky so far, but I tend to run all my own box sets, so I don't scam myself.
Yep, that's probably the easiest way to avoid it. Run your own the box set. That's excellent. Okay, so let's launch straight into the questions here. Do you want to kick us off, Krishawn, or should I?
Certainly. First of all, let's get a feel for the room. There are more than a few, including Stephanie, who was like, I know this person, I want to see this person. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you write, first of all? Let's start with, okay, I'm looking at the row again. Let's start with Violet.
I'm Violet Vaughn. I also write as V Vaughn. Violet writes contemporary, and V writes paranormal, romance, mostly shifters. And I've got some aliens out there too.
Oh, all right then, JK.
Hi, I'm J.K. Harper. Paranormal romance, pretty much all shifters. And yeah, that's all I got right now.
Okay. And Isadora. Hello, Isadora.
Hi. I write paranormal romance too, and shifters is what I do.
I'm starting to notice a theme here.
Yeah, well.
to be fair, I'm sci-fi romance, so I was involved. It was a mini book multi-author box set scam, so I was involved in the sci-fi romance one, while two of these other lovely ladies here were involved in, and probably one of the few shifter ones that were out there.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So all of you were, and so we're talking about two separate box sets? Do I have that correct?
There were actually quite a few, as it turns out. I can't remember the exact number that we came up with. I'm thinking there are at least 4 or 5. And some authors were in more than one, but it was quite a few authors that were involved in all of these sets, unfortunately.
Oh no. And how did you go about joining the box set? Like, was it somebody that you knew or a reference, or how did you get to know about this individual?
Well, I was invited by the person who was running the box set. And this was somebody I had worked with in a group, and I was quite flattered to be invited.
Oh, I can understand. After doing all that work, someone says, I like you, be part of this group. And you're like, yeah.
Well, you know, this is part of how people find other like-minded authors, and I had no idea that this person was going to default.
Right, I can understand that. And was that the same way with you, JK?
I don't think I was invited. She may have put out a call. I don't remember the specifics, but yeah, she was active in the author community. She seemed like a known quantity. She ran a very successful box set early in the year. I had friends in it. She had multiple, author Facebook friends. Kind of lulled me into thinking she had to be legit. So the opportunity came up, and she may have mentioned it in one of the private author groups, and I joined. I don't remember exactly. And it seemed to be okay. And I've been in 17 box sets at this point, but it didn't ping my radar. Everything seemed to be like it was going to be legitimate, at least in the beginning.
Right. And Erica, that's the same for you, right? You were invited.
I was invited as well, but I had also seen the person active within the community on several forums, actively contributing to the community. So this was really quite a surprise to me as well when this happened.
Mm-hmm. What is the allure of the box set? Now, I'm a starting author, so I haven't gotten into a box set, and I do not write romance, right? So they're not as common as they are in romance. And because the fans are just so fantastic in romance. But I'm going to keep on saying that until I die. But what is the allure to the romance writer about being in the box set?
Well, I think that there's two big reasons. The number one reason used to be exposure, that you would get put in front of readers that would pick up the box set and they would read you, and most people are very good about putting a book in that lures them into a series.
Mm-hmm.
But with Kindle Unlimited and page reads, it shifted a little bit, because you could make a lot of money in a Kindle Unlimited page read box set. And that, it changed my strategy. And when I say you can make a lot of money, you can walk away with each author having at least $1,000 in a Kindle box set for a month, which is really quite nice. So it's very attractive to run them and do them and participate.
My goodness, that is attractive. Is that the thing? I'm sorry. I'm in this for the art, but I need to get paid too. So yes, that is attractive.
And
Definitely.
also a lot of people are using it at the moment to get in the USA Today list, bestseller lists, and the New York Times bestseller lists as well. There's
Right.
a lot of multi-author book bundles turning up on those lists lately.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
So, and I want to mention to the audience that even though we are talking about a particular scam, we're going to try to stay away from the inflammatory. That is to say, we're going to stick to the facts as we know them, and we're also going to keep from actually mentioning names unless we're talking about ourselves, just because we want to keep it civil, and our aim here is not to vilify, but to protect yourself and to have the story told. So in case you're wondering that's the reason why we're circumventing that just a little bit. Now, having said that, what was promised in these box sets?
The opportunity to make a little money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really, you put your books together, you put the bundle in KU, you make some money selling. Mostly you make money in page reads, and when the royalties come in, the person who's organized it distributes the royalties, and this gives you a bit of a boost to your income.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we all go ahead, Isadora.
No,
I'm sorry. I just initiated a train wreck. I'm sorry. That's what that was. I started talking to everyone. I was like, no, okay. What were you going to say, JK?
I was just going to say, we all signed a contract with her. Everything was extremely clear. We were supposed to get part of the royalties. It was it seemed very well set up, and it was extremely, there was a lot of legalese involved in it. Those were actually, this particular person had the most involved contracts I've ever seen or signed for a box set, or among the most involved. So that was another thing that made it seem completely on the up and up. And everything was just laid out so clearly. You know, you're going to get part of the monies. We're all going to pull our weight together. We're going to do ads. We're going to promo it. And it seemed like it was going to be good, and it wasn't.
And there was no cost to us up front either. All of the advertising, anything was going to come out of the initial royalties that were being paid. And we were also told that we would receive information weekly about how the sales were going. And I believe for the first bundle or two, people did actually see these results, but at some point they stopped.
Oh,
And
Exactly.
that's when some people started thinking, hang on. But the
Right.
rest of us didn't know yet that something was wrong.
Right. And at this point, I'm going to switch over to Violet because you run several very successful, legitimate, and Verton box sets. And so far, is there anything in the story that you've heard so far that's ringing any bells? I mean, that's raising red flags, sorry?
No, you know, I was actually asked to be in one of the box sets at the very beginning, and it just didn't work out for me, and I didn't do the box set. But to be honest, she was doing all the things that I would suggest, so it makes it very difficult to spot someone like that. I mean, I think that, you know, that's what con artists are good at, are setting people up to believe that they're legit. And I'm not really sure that there's anything that would tip you off. I just don't. It's just really difficult to, I mean, I could have very easily been another one of you being sucked into it. It didn't quite fit with what I was doing at the time, but I very easily could have been part of it. So, you know, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I could say, yes, you should have, you should look for a contract. Yes, you should look for somebody who's very clear with their rules and has the rules posted in the group. And yes, you should see graphs, and I love to post pretty graphs with the numbers. It's motivating. People love to see it, and it's exciting. And I try to be as transparent as possible so that people aren't surprised when they get their paycheck. They know, they've seen the numbers, they know what we've been making. But it sounds like she did all of those things too. So how do you know at what point she's just going to flip the switch and take your money and run? You just don't know.
Right.
It's too difficult to predict.
I think that's the reason why we're having this show, so we can, I hate to break the innocence of this, of a set, because most of the time, I think I've been involved and heard of box sets for the last 2 years, and this has only been the second scan that I have heard of, right? Now, maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm not involved in romance as deeply as you guys are, but it just seems like these things are not as common. By and large, most of the folks in box sets are legitimate. And so when this comes out and affects someone that I personally know, I think it's best to dissect it. And that brings us to the next question. When did any of you guys notice that there was something wrong? Let's start.
From my end of it, and I wouldn't say it's when I first noticed something was wrong, but it definitely just kind of made me say, this person's a little controlling, but you kind of just let that go. You just think, well, maybe they're just a little controlling. In the set I was in, so she was posting some potential cover mock-ups. What do you guys think about this? What do you think about colors? What do you think about that? And I made a couple of constructive criticism comments, just one really, and I know someone else did too. And she not only didn't answer, she deleted our comments, which I didn't realize for a little while. And I just, at the time, all I thought was, okay, she's overly sensitive. It did strike me as a little strange, but I really, I wasn't at that point thinking she's going to scam us. And then, later, as all of us in all the sets finally got together and started talking, we realized that this was a common theme across the sets, that she was being very controlling of comments. And in another set that had not yet been put together, but the people were in the group, she actually switched the settings, and this is all in Facebook groups. She switched the settings so that no one's comment could post in the group without her approval. At that point, though, everyone was definitely aware that something not right was going on, and they started bailing like crazy.
Yeah, that would be a really big red flag for me if you weren't allowed to comment in a group without approval.
Yeah.
So,
But that was towards the
Yeah.
So was that the point when we all realized that something was going wrong because of that box set that wasn't yet live?
Erica, could you repeat that?
We're having some audio difficulties. Someone's echoing. Do you have any headphones plugged in?
Anyway,
Headphones.
I just unplugged mine.
Can you plug them back in, please?
Yep.
Sorry about this audio. Okay. No.
So what makes the echo happen besides headphones?
Well, it seems to be more of an issue on my end. So I'll mute myself for a while. You guys continue on.
All right then. Oh. Okay.
Sean, can you mute yourself, please?
Is that better?
Nope. Right. So I muted. Testing.
That sounded better.
Testing. Okay, it seems to be Violet's microphone. Do you have any headphones there, Violet, that you can plug in? Sorry, folks. Yes, Houston, we do have a problem. Can you unmute yourself, Krishawn?
And we're back.
Testing. Yeah, it's on Violet's end, unfortunately.
Was that your daughter's, Isadora? My goodness. Isadora, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. JK, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Violet, can you hear me? Okay, good. And we see Isadora, but we seem to have lost volume with her. We'll work on getting her back on in a moment. But we were talking about how during the course of putting the box set together, it seemed like communication was really reduced, and she wanted to make sure that only things that she wanted to be seen. Do I have that correct, JK?
That was my impression from the set I was in. I mean, and it wasn't completely like that. Am I echoing now?
Yeah, I just brought Violet back. I'm sorry, Violet. Continue, please.
Go ahead.
They're actually, she seemed to be doing things really well at first, all the, posting the graphs, the, rah, let's go team. But then it was just those little things like deleting comments without saying anything. And she also, there was a mix up about the dates on ours. It was, we're going to launch, whatever day. And then she said, actually, I extended it for a little bit longer. And I remember saying specifically, let me know for sure, because I'm going to do some promo on some other books in that series. Mm-hmm. I had the promo set up, and all of a sudden, boom, the set was live. And she hadn't told any of us. So that totally messed with my promo schedule. And I remember thinking, what are you doing? Right. And but I still wasn't really thinking. I was kind of more thinking that she was disorganized. I wasn't thinking there was anything nefarious afoot. It was frustrating. And at that point, I remember thinking I didn't want to work with her again because of that. It was just a little too, I didn't like that lack of communication. But I wasn't incredibly concerned quite yet.
And I understand that it was the lack of communication, the strange behavior, and a few other things that prompted the creation of a Facebook group. Do I have that correct?
Well, yes. There was a second set that I was invited to be involved in, which was a Christmas set of Christmas stories. And we couldn't get her to send the contracts to get the ball moving, and she stopped responding, and people started leaving because if they had no contract, they didn't want to sit down and write a story. And then someone came to the group and said, no, she wasn't going to be participating in this because she hadn't been paid since September.
My goodness.
So the September money hadn't come. She wasn't going to get involved with anymore. And at that point, all hell broke loose, and we stopped discussing the Christmas box set and started another group to discuss all the box sets to see if this was systemic, and it turned out to be.
Can I just put in there that I was completely oblivious to everything? I mean, I was not paying attention to it at all because it was totally off my radar. I was busy with the podcast. I was busy with my own promos. And the first I heard of it was when I think it was even JK invited me into the Facebook group. And I was like, hey, hang on, there's a shit ton of stuff I need to read in here. What the fuck's going on?
Right.
And that was how I found out something was wrong.
Yeah. And I finally found out something was wrong, partially because I spend way too much time on Facebook in all these groups, chatting with friends. A friend of mine that I chat with almost every day, she was in one of the sets. She was actually in the set that had done incredibly well. They all got their first payments, were thrilled with it. They were really large payments. And the second payment was late. And she started complaining privately to me and another author friend, she's late. And I run the money for a bunch of sets, and I pay, very rapidly after Amazon pays me, I pay everyone else. And she was like, well, hello, if you can do it, why can't she? And the answer that she got when she went and asked the set organizer of the other set was, oh, I'm having a problem with PayPal. They're not letting me. I'm trying to transfer too much money at once, and they're not letting me. And at the time I thought, is that true? Maybe it is. I don't know. And I went and I checked my PayPal, and no, I mean, I don't know what she was trying to do, but it certainly wasn't an issue on my end when I was paying out the authors in the sets that I help run. So that's when we really started just kind of going, and I went and I double and triple checked my contract and the pin post in the set I was in. And it was very clear. I was like, oh, we are supposed to be paid our first royalties by this particular day. I waited. The day came and passed. Nothing. And so I said something in the group. Hey, hey, what's up? We're due our payments, right? Am I completely, am I just getting the dates wrong? And no response. And that was kind of the start of it for me, being like, all right, something's going on here. And then beginning to hear from others that they were contacting her and getting pretty much total radio silence. She stopped responding to, as far as I know, just about everyone. And that's when I was completely aware that there was definitely a huge problem.
My goodness. Wow. Violet, are you still with us?
Yep, if you ask her a question, I will unmute her.
Yes. I'm here.
When it comes to the payments, should we have that information in the contract?
Yeah, I actually, we've only just started doing contracts in my box sets. Usually I just had a post with all of the rules and how I would do things. And I tell people that I try to pay within the first week of getting the money in Amazon, but once in a while their life gets in the way and I can't do it that quickly. So I give myself till the 15th of the next month is what I promise that you'll get paid. But anybody who's been in my box sets know I usually pay you within 3 or 4 days. It makes me nervous having that much money sitting in my account that's not mine.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Whoopsie. I'm sorry, Violet. Can you unmute yourself again? I accidentally pressed something.
that's okay. Yeah, it's a time-consuming process. If you're dealing with 3 or 4 box sets and you've got 10 people in each box set, it definitely takes time. So I can see where it, you know, you need to be a little bit patient with people. But yeah, I think within reason.
All right then. When we talk about accountability and what to look for, when it comes to payments, is there a specific way other than, well, I just usually pay on the 4th? Is there anything that we should be looking for? Or is there anything that, and I'll throw this out to the entire panel, is there anything that we as members of the box set should just be like, oh, this is a red flag, other than a missed payment?
Her method was to pay quarterly. We all knew that up front. Okay, you know, we agreed to that. And at this point, I mean, I will never again join any kind of set where that's the arrangement. You know, it gave her time for all of our money to sit in her account, maybe be transferred over somewhere making interest. You know, I mean, if you know, take 10% off the top and have everyone agree to that, that's fine. But it just gave her a lot more time to amass an awful lot of money. Like Violet said, I'm the same way. All that money shows up in my account and I'm just like, I have to get rid of it. You know, I have to send it to the authors. I can't stand having it in there. It freaks me out. So to me, yeah, that was, it wasn't a red flag at the time. I would definitely caution people, if someone's inviting you to a box set, they're only going to pay quarterly, be really upfront about asking them why, what is their reasoning for that, and make sure it seems really legitimate to you, whether or not you're going to agree with it. Personally, I never will again.
Right.
One caveat to that though, because when you have a box set that goes wide and it's for 99 cents, the money just isn't as great. And I have been in 1 or 2 box sets that they paid quarterly, and it made perfect sense because we were getting a couple $100. So, but if you're in a Kindle Unlimited box set, yeah, I think I would be pretty hard pressed to join one that was going to pay me quarterly, because I know they'd be sitting on a lot of money.
Right.
Good point.
So when we're talking about payment, if it's Kindle Unlimited, by and large, that should be, because of page reads and just the high volume that's involved with it, you should be looking more into, there's no reason why it shouldn't be, it should, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with English. There's no reason why it shouldn't be monthly. And going wide, that seems like it's a bit more caution as well. And I'm looking at the comments here in the, and I'm seeing that there's a little bit of fear about box sets, and I want to assure you once again that this is absolutely the exception. But because there are many, many, many reputable box sets, and the constant is that you will be published, you will get paid. Most of these people, by and large, honest people who, like you, want to have the exposure, want to get paid, want to have the books out there. We're just sharing their experience, things to look for, so you don't fall into those 1 or 2 box sets that will cause this type of trouble. And
something to consider, I think, is the fact that if the author or authors running the box set, if they're successful and you can see, you know, they're on the P&R charts, they tend to publish a lot, they've got a lot to lose by pulling something like this, because the author that we're discussing has just disappeared. And I don't think that she was very successful before, so she probably didn't have a whole lot to lose by just pulling her pen name and disappearing. But if you're dealing with more successful authors, they're not going to do that. Why would they? Because they lose so much more to get a short influx of cash. So you may want to consider thinking, well, okay, I'm only going to do box sets that are run by established authors that are, they've got something to lose. And I think for myself, I am so out there. You can find my real name. It's so easy. I tell everybody. You got my Facebook page with my kids. You've got, there's so much stuff me out there that I would never be able to get away with it. I just couldn't. So maybe that's something else. Maybe you do a little research on the authors running the box set and see how available are they, or do they seem to have an incredibly successful career that it would be just idiotic for them to try to take your money and then have to disappear. So those would be things I might look for.
Right. Now, to your point, I did notice that those who have very, very successful box sets, ones that are constantly hitting the bestseller charts, they are all over the place. Just like you were saying, Violet, there's one that I follow. Hers, you can't trip and not find her somewhere. Pictures of her kids, she's always going live. I'm like all over the place, and you always see her name on the charts. That is a hallmark. Now, mind you, the hallmark of a good box set and someone who organizes well, granted, those are harder to get into, but being the accessibility appears to be something that is really valuable in looking to someone. Would you agree with that, Isadora?
I would. I think that if I was going to do a box set with somebody who was not well established, I would hesitate. At the moment, I'm involved with 3 other authors who are like me, relative newbies in the situation, and we went with City Owl just because that way none of us had to hold on to the money. None of us was in charge of doing all of the promotion, all of the stuff that we're not experts at. Violet's done a whole bunch of things. I'm pretty sure that the set that she's running now that I'm in, it's going to be promoted properly. When we make suggestions, she goes, well, we don't do that now, we do that then. And I'm cool with that because she knows she's got a track record. And I wonder if the set I was involved in the summer, if I had gone and said, okay, but I want to talk to the authors from the set in the spring, if they would have raised red flags, or if at that point they wouldn't have been worried because the time to be paid had not yet come.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel I didn't do my due diligence because I certainly didn't go and ask people who had been in previous sets what their experience had been, whether they would do a second set with this person or not.
All right, then. Can I ask a more personal question? Do we know how much money all told, or at least in your box set, was, there's a cat on my screen. How much money did she walk off with?
No, we don't, because she walked off with the data.
Oh.
I believe someone in the Facebook group somehow managed to estimate about $32,000, but I have no idea how they came up with that amount.
They ballparked it.
We ballparked that it might have been as much as about 35,000. It's hard to tell. We're guessing that based on people who've been in a bunch of sets, know how well they can do, and we still had all of us. We still had the sets in our Author Central, so we could see the sales history. We don't know for sure. And the number of sets there were, and how incredibly successful one of them was, and how one that was coming up was being very successful. With pre-orders, we had a feeling she probably cash in her account, or has.
Yeah. Yes. We don't know. We really don't know what's going on there. But once we did work this out, what steps did we take? I mean, I know our Facebook group was formed and everyone was brought up to date, but what steps did we ultimately end up taking? JK?
As far as steps, there were conversations about quite a few things, how to go after the money legally. there were discussions of, and one member actually went and spoke to her attorney to basically say this, this is what happened. This is the amount we suspect has been taken. What can we do? So we got some advice there. And there were, I'll be perfectly blunt. There were some extremely, extremely angry people. And I'm sure some of them are still very, very angry. There's some ongoing stuff that definitely sets me off every now and then. I don't think we actually know exactly how this is ultimately going to resolve. So the main thing is, and as far as steps, and just like Rashawn was saying earlier, we are trying to be pretty circumspect with what we say publicly. And, we don't want to drag our own names into any sort of, mudslinging online or anything like that. And also just honestly, no one knows what happened. We can definitely make a guess that she's a huge con artist. I lean toward that. We don't know. We will probably never know. So we're just, we've mentioned in one authors forum, have some very clear practices as to, hey, these are very clear best practices. These are suggestions of what to look for, just as what we're talking about on the show right now. So this doesn't happen to you. And that's kind of where we are with steps at the moment.
Well, I think the most important thing we did was getting the box sets taken down by Amazon so that the money, we're not going to get the money, but it dried up. No more sales.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Amazon was great.
Yeah.
Amazon was fantastic about yanking them immediately.
Yeah, I think what people did, like I said, I didn't know what was going on. I was coming into the party late and I've been terribly busy, but I believe a number of people contacted Amazon. Was it through the DMCA takedown notices section and also contacting them directly?
There's a different form.
Yes.
It's the copyright infringement form.
Okay.
But as soon as those notices were filed, they acted on them. On the other hand, that's all you can do. You can only mitigate because it isn't worth suing.
Right.
Not for probably, a couple of $100 for some of us.
Well, the problem with lawsuits is they're expensive.
I believe someone's author, they got their author involved, and the author suggested that arbitration clause or something be added to contracts for anything under $5,000, as they don't tend to go to court. This is another thing. I'm in a completely different country to the rest of you, so I don't, even know what I'm looking at. But the contract, like everyone else has said, did look pretty legit, and I had other people read it over. So I think the only warning flag that I ignored, and let's face it, we all ignored probably a few little warning flags because we all think people are just too nice, was someone said that a multi-author organizer should be paying the tax, the American IRS tax.
Right.
And since I'm from New Zealand, 5% gets withheld to the IRS, and I was told that the organizer should be paying that to the IRS on my behalf. But really, since I didn't know any other New Zealanders who were in multi-author book sets, I couldn't really verify that one with anyone. So, and this wasn't something that she was willing to do, but I overlooked it and signed the contract and joined in anyway. I mean, what have I got to lose? I didn't spend anything up front. She's just borrowing my book. I'm probably the most laid back about the whole thing compared to every other author in this book set because I didn't really lose anything. Just potential earnings, which was probably in one of the lower performing box sets anyway. So no biggie for me, but I totally understand how some of the other authors were very pissed off.
I think it's because we felt betrayed by somebody we had trusted.
Yes.
It's very hard.
Definitely. Because she seemed known, she was in the author communities, you know, she seemed like, you know, one of us. And that for me was the worst part, definitely. I mean, I didn't really know her, and I certainly, you know, I was in one of the, you know, not as well performing sets, so I know it wouldn't have been very much money for me anyway. But yeah, it was that feeling of, you know, I trusted you, I gave you a lot of personal information, and that was quite a slap in the face, what happened.
I can imagine, especially someone you thought you trusted. After everything that's happened, would you consider going into another box set?
Yes, absolutely.
I get my like, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start with you, Isadora. Why? Even after all that's happened, why?
Well, the thing is that I've only been publishing for a year. And in a year, I've had more positive experiences than negative ones. And in fact, even this negative experience was quite positive. We came together as this community of outraged people, and some of us calmed people down, and some of us, you know, gave other people a little nudge and said, you have to do something about this. You can't just pretend it's not happening. And there are lots and lots of trustworthy people out there. There's a lot more kind and generous people who have been writing for a while who are willing to help newbies like me. I can't tell you how much good advice JK has given me. You know, it's like, yeah, I want to work with other people because most people are good and most people aren't doing stuff like this.
And JK, you were like, yes, I would. Why would you get into another box set?
Same thing. You know, this is the first time that this had happened to me. I have been in 17 box sets at this point. So this was my only truly negative experience. There are wonderful set organizers out there. You know, Violet is one of them. I'm in a set with her right now. I've been in a set with her before. She's awesome. I totally trust her. I'm really, you know, I'm involved in a bunch of sets, and it's a great group. We all trust one another. I would very, very happily do it again. I'm just, you know, I'm going to be a lot more discerning about really, truly trusting, you know, the organizers. But I'm not concerned about that because just like you were saying, or someone was saying, you know, that the names that are really at the top of the charts all the time, and you really know other authors who really know them and really vouch for them, it's pretty easy to figure that out. So I'm in a heartbeat. Totally will do sets again. Absolutely.
All right then. What about you, Erica?
Yeah, provided I don't have to do any work. No, I intend to be getting involved in some box sets, but probably with newer content possibly next year. But yeah. No, I don't mind. I mean, it is getting my books out there, my name out there, and money is good. I like money, so it's a good thing to do it.
Yeah.
And Violet, why would you encourage folks to scared off by box sets?
Why would I encourage them to do them?
Why would you? Yes.
Oh, you know, I just think, well, first of all, it's great for networking, and you tend to talk to the people in the group. You get to know each other, and that right there, I think, is huge, because we really, as a group, we're very strong, and we do some really incredible things when you have groups of people. So I really like that portion of it. The KU box sets, they are a great financial boost to people. I mean, that's one of the biggest things for me, is that it's just one more income stream. And you definitely get the exposure. You get out there. I mean, when I have books in a box set, I do see an upswing in that series, especially if the book in the box set is the first in the series. So there's just so many benefits that, you know, sure, you could very well be scammed, but you can be scammed in so many things in life. And sometimes you just have to say, you know, this is life. These things happen. I can try to protect myself, but I think the benefits tend to outweigh the negative aspects of most things.
All right then. And we have about 15 minutes left in the show. And I would like, first of all, I want to thank you guys for being so candid with your information. And I would love for people to get to know what you write. And this is going to be a multi-part question. What you write, what your current release or your latest release is, all right? And the character you absolutely love in it. We're going. Somebody just broke something outside. Why don't we start with you, Violet?
Oh gosh, my biggest main series is Bear Shifters, and I do them. They start off as serials, but then of course KU changed things on me, so now I do trilogies, but I do seasons. So I'm on the 4th season, and the latest book that came out was the second one in Desired by the Bear. And I think my very favorite character in that book is a woman named Nadia. She is a polar bear, and she came, and she's just the poor woman. In the last season, her husband found somebody else and left her all on her own, and she was a mess, and she became a spokesmodel for a big vodka company, and she gets chased down by hunters, so she has to leave that job, and then she ends up in Canada by default, and she doesn't want to be there, and everything's falling apart, but she finds love in this series, and it's all great, except then something else happens to this poor woman, and she ends up being in another evil person's body, and it's just, I just can't torture her enough, but she's gonna get a happy ending, I swear. But she's the most fun to write because she's always got something else going on, and she's just a really strong warrior and really she's pretty badass. So I think that's why I like her.
Nice.
Thank you. Erica, why don't you tell me about the book that you have featured in the series, because we're going to promote the mess out of that one.
Okay. Well, the one that I had in the box set was called His Only Hope, and it's a kind of reverse on the typical science fiction romance where the alien is usually the hero. In this instance, the hero is human and the alien is a woman, and they do not speak the same language. In fact, she does not speak verbally at all. And they also, it's a little bit racist in that they hate each other's species, and of course they have to work together, overcome those obstacles, and fall in love. And I'd like to think it's quite funny. So His Only Hope, Erica Conroy.
All right then. Ding! And JK, tell us about your book.
So I've actually just had a small flurry of releases, and they're in box sets. That's kind of what I've been doing this year. Series that's the one I've most recently started. It's Bear Shifters. I got on the Bear Shifter train late. Everyone, else started last year, and I've been planning mine for a year. Just started them. They're called the Silvertip Shifters. I had a story that was a crossover with that series and my oldest series, the Black Mesa Wolves, and that was in a box set that just came out called Shifters in the Shadows, a Halloween-themed set, everyone. And then in the holiday set that we have coming up, which is called Shifters in the Snow, Bundle of Joy, I also have one of my Silvertip Shifter stories in there. I loved the couple that's in there. They have a lot of fun. She's human, and she's, she has this little baby by this guy, and all of a sudden the baby's like, oh, he's growing claws. What's going on? And she realizes the guy was a shifter, and her little boy's going to be a grizzly bear cub, and it's just fun. I mean, it's just so much fun to write this kind of stuff. I read this all the time, my whole life ever since, high school, and it's fun writing it. I love it.
Right. That just sounds fun. And Isadora, because we're all shifters here.
It's all shifters, yes. Well, I have a book in pre-order, and of course, it's the box set with my Christmas story, which features another of the dragons from my Lords of the Dragon Islands. This one is he's a big dragon, and he goes home for Christmas. He lives out there. His family lives on the islands in the Gulf of Bothnia, which is between Sweden and Finland. And he cuts down a tree, and the next thing you know, he's being claimed by a pixie, and it just gets funnier after that. So.
All right, so we're going to ask a question because of that hesitation. Did you mean big or did you mean big?
He's a very large dragon, and as I said to her, we're not well matched. But it all works out in the end. It all works out in the end. There's a happy ever after for both of them. Though she does have to give up being immortal. It's very sad.
Oh.
These are the sacrifices that you have to make when you're in love with a shifter.
And a big dragon.
Okay then.
And just in case you're new to this podcast, yes, I take it there every week. Just buckle in. That's where you're going to be for the 30 seconds. So.
I have a question. It was because earlier in the podcast, Isadora mentioned City Owl. Now, can someone explain what exactly that is for the people who don't know?
It's a company. What they do is they put together box sets and they publish. They are paying us quarterly, but you can understand that when it's a house that is doing a whole bunch of box sets and they don't know how much money the sets are going to make, we've put them together. They may do very well or they may do poorly. And so if they're only going to make a few $100s a month, you could see how they don't want to have to cut checks that often. But at the same time, they're an established publishing house and their contract was extremely detailed. It was even longer than the one we had for the box set that failed. And it has if there's a dispute, it gets settled in New York.
Oh, okay.
And this is the hallmark of a well-written contract where they choose the venue where the dispute will be settled, so you can actually tell in advance how things will play out, because it makes a big difference.
Awesome.
And particularly for when you're working with people from different countries.
Yep. That is attractive. I think I read somewhere though that they're all booked up for the rest of the year. So anything with City Owl would have to be for next year. So that sounds like they're really popular as an option.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about that because where I read that, I don't trust that forum anymore. And the thing is that we only decided to go with City Owl after this fiasco. So after I'd heard that they were all full, we managed to, without any difficulty, get a place. So
okay.
Yes, you have to check everything you read on Facebook. It's the same as everything. You start trusting people when you talk to them every day, and it's the internet. You can't. Not until you've known them a very long time.
That is true. And sadly, it has to be that way sometimes. But it's good to know that, once again, more often than not, you're going to run in with a good group.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you the truth. I wish I had the chops for writing romance, because you guys, romance authors are always just so awesome.
Well, yeah.
It's just incredibly so. Oh my goodness. And you guys have been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for spending the time to tell the story and having so much charm and humor attached to something that really could be bad. And you guys are just so graceful about it. I really, really appreciate it. And
thank you for having us.
We have about 4 minutes left in the show. So why don't we go down the line? Violet, JK, and then Isadora. where people your books.
Most of my books are on Amazon. I do have an Alien series and a contemporary series that are on all the other vendors.
Very good. JK, where can they find your books and find you? And she fainted. Isadora?
I'm only on Amazon. Everything I have written is in KU. Maybe I'll go wide one day, but it hasn't happened yet.
And until JK comes back, she can be found on her site is jkharper.com, and I imagine most definitely she'll be available on Amazon, but I will just leave that in the show notes to confirm that. Anything else, Erica, before we go?
No, I think that looks like it. Everyone seems to have enjoyed this episode and our guests and how we have such great attitudes, especially considering what has happened, and that we haven't let it affect the fact that we will, continue on and continue doing projects for other authors. So it's awesome.
No way you can run through that fast.
That's it.
It looks like JK might be coming back on, and she is back, and then we'll give it a few more moments for her audio to sink in. And thank you for joining us. Erica, we have any notes about the Halloween promo?
Yeah, the Halloween promo submissions have closed for that. But if you want to get some Halloween themed horror, paranormal, or etc. free books coming up between the 29th and the 31st of October, it'll be on our website, selfpublishingroundtable.com/promo. We have a new website for the promo. It looks fucking awesome. It cost me money and I spent hours on it. But hey, when people pay me money to organize these cross promos, I give it my best. We do have submissions open for the Christmas multi-author cross promotion. If you are interested in that one, it is up on our blog at the moment, selfpublishingroundtable.com. I will have a little banner and a link to it later, but probably that will go up after the Halloweeny promo has finished.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's it. Survey Cat has spoken. Submissions are closed there. So if you didn't answer Survey Cat's questions, Survey Cat is not interested in you.
Yes.
Like any ordinary cat.
Right. Every cat, even business cat, tired of her. And I can, as always, be found on Instagram at alazar.com. Sorry, Alazar Universe, at Twitter, Alazar Universe, and Facebook, I always get the name wrong, facebook.com/Alazar Universe, ALLAZAR. And the instruction manual, the part 2 of the Courser series, is out and about and is ready on Amazon. Well, Cole is going through her trials, and it would be easier if she just read the fucking manual.
Fair enough. Next week, we're doing a Roundtable news roundup. Zoe York will be returning to help us discuss the news for indie authors and publishers that have happened over the past month. So if you have any news items you would like us to discuss, especially Zoe, maybe she will unleash some dick punches this time round. Who knows? Please share them with us. Thank you.
Oh, this is where I do the Canadian thing because I'm closest to Canada?
Yep,
Oh.
So what do we say?
We say goodnight, internets. Bye.
Bye.